My name is Michael Reed, and the day I buried my father was supposed to be about saying goodbye to the man who raised me, not watching my marriage crumble in front of a crowd. It was a gray afternoon, the kind where even the sky seemed to mourn. My father had always been the quiet backbone of our family, steady, fair, and full of lessons I hadn't realized I'd needed until it was too late. The church smelled of lilies and rain-soaked coats, and every face I saw was one I half recognized from my childhood. My wife, Emily, stood beside me in her black dress, her expression unreadable. We hadn't been close for months, our conversations reduced to small talk and sighs. I thought she was just distant because of the stress of my father's illness. I was wrong. After the service, as people gathered at the graveside, a man in a dark suit approached. I assumed he was one of my father's old business friends, until he stopped right in front of me, holding a large envelope. "Mr. Reed?" he asked quietly. "Yes," I said, my voice still shaky from grief. "I'm Daniel White," he said, glancing at Emily. "I represent your wife." For a moment, I didn't understand. Represent her? In what? He handed me the envelope. "I'm sorry to do this here, but she insisted." My heart dropped. I opened it, my hands trembling. Inside were divorce papers. Around us, the murmurs of family and friends faded into stunned silence. Emily didn't meet my eyes. She just turned away, wiping an imaginary tear, as if the timing were a coincidence. My mother gasped softly, someone whispered my name, and I stood there frozen, holding the papers like they were a piece of broken glass. I didn't say a word. I just walked to my car and drove off before anyone could stop me. That night, I sat in my empty kitchen staring at the documents. It wasn't just a divorce. She was asking for nearly everything: the house, half my father's inheritance, even joint ownership of the company I'd spent 10 years building. The pain of losing my father mixed with a betrayal so deep I could barely breathe. But beneath the hurt, something inside me went quiet, a strange, calm clarity. Instead of calling her or begging for an explanation, I called my father's attorney, Mr. Grant. He'd known our family for decades. When he answered, I simply said, "I think I finally understand why my dad always said, 'Don't sign anything when your hands are shaking.'" He met me the next morning. "Michael," he said gently, "your father spoke to me before he passed. He knew things about your marriage you didn't." I frowned. "What do you mean?" He opened a folder and slid a document across the desk. It was a second will, one my father had updated just 2 months before he died. "Your father loved Emily," he said, "but he didn't trust her. He suspected she was only with you for security. So he made arrangements." My stomach twisted. "What kind of arrangements?" "He transferred all of your inheritance into a trust in your name only," he said. "It can't be touched in a divorce settlement. And more than that, he left you controlling interest in the company outright. She can't claim any of it." I leaned back, stunned. My father had seen what I refused to. "He wanted you to learn," Grant added quietly, "that sometimes protection is love." Over the next few days, Emily tried to contact me. Calls, messages, even showing up at my office. I ignored them all until I was ready. When I finally agreed to meet, she looked nervous, not cold like before. "Michael," she began softly, "I didn't mean for it to happen that way. The lawyer, he thought it was best to deliver it quickly." I laughed bitterly. "At my father's funeral?" She flinched. "I just didn't know how else to end things. You've been so distant." "I was distant because I was watching my father die," I said sharply. "You were supposed to be my support, not my executioner." Her eyes filled with tears. "I made a mistake," she whispered. "Can we just talk?" I nodded. "We are talking. You wanted a divorce, so you'll get it, but you won't get what you came for." I showed her the trust documents. The color drained from her face. "You knew," she said weakly. "Not until yesterday," I replied. "But he did. My father always saw through people." For a long moment, she sat in silence, then whispered, "I didn't mean to hurt you." "You just didn't think I'd find out," I said. "But I'm done being someone's safety net." I stood to leave, but she reached out, her voice trembling. "Michael, please. I still care about you." I paused at the door. "Maybe you do," I said, "but you cared more about what I had." I walked away without looking back. The divorce finalized quietly a few months later. I didn't gloat or tell anyone the details, not even my mother, who still thought Emily had left out of grief. But word spread, as it always does, and the people who'd once pitied me began to look at me differently. Stronger. Wiser. I focused on rebuilding the company and honoring my father's memory. Every decision I made, I could almost hear his voice guiding me. "Don't react with anger, son. Let the truth do the work for you." A year later, I stood by his grave again, this time not in mourning but in gratitude. "You were right," I whispered. "You always were." As I turned to leave, I saw Emily standing by the gate, watching me. Our eyes met briefly. She looked older, smaller somehow, like someone finally realizing the weight of her choices. She didn't say a word. Neither did I. Some silences speak louder than anything. That day, I walked away from both grief and betrayal with something I hadn't expected to find: peace. Because what shocked everyone wasn't that she tried to break me at my lowest point. It was that I didn't fall. I rose exactly the way my father had taught me to.